All right, we're going to be starting with Unit 3, Lesson 3. Right now we're on Task 1. Task 1 is giving us an overview of the new code. We're going to be learning how to fill. This is the first code. So that would be to fill a shape's color, an ellipse, and a rectangle. An ellipse is, it could be a circle, it could be an oval. It's a rounded shape. And a rectangle is a shape with all 90-degree angles. And here we can make an ellipse. You could make it a circle if you use the same width and height. And with a rectangle, the same thing would go. You can make it a square by using the same width and height, or you can make it longer or wider. It gives you a lot of room here. The X and Y are what's going to indicate where on the grid it is going to be placed. So X is the left, right, and Y is up, down. We're going to look at task 2 in lesson 3. Task 2 in lesson 3 is asking you, where do you think what do you think is going to happen on the screen, and where do you think it's going to be? So what I like to do is I like to show my grid. You could just use this check mark to show your grid or not. I like to show my grid when I'm looking at where things are placed, and if I'm looking at if I'm wondering where things are going to show up or how they're going to show up. And then I take my grid off when I'm looking at my finished product because it allows me to see the full picture without all of the lines. So right now it says RECT 100, 100. So that tells me that it's going to be a rectangle, and the basic rectangle comes in a square form, and it's going to be placed at 100, 100. So 100, 100 is going to be right here. So this is exactly where my rectangle should be. When I press run, we see that that rectangle is there. If we read the instructions further, we're going to see that they're asking us to change the numbers inside the block and then try running the program again. They want us to try to place the rectangle near the bottom right of the screen. So somewhere down here in the bottom right of the screen. I personally am going to choose to put my rectangle right here, and that's going to be at 300, 300. So I'm just going to change the numbers to 300, 300 and reset run, and there I go. If I want to keep playing in here, I can choose different numbers. If you want to continue by putting other rectangles in just to kind of see where everything goes, feel free. I could put in 3 rectangles if I wanted to. You could do a lot of things, so that's up to you. Now we're going to go on to task 3. Task 3 is a video. So at this point, I would want you to pause my video and please play this video. All right, task 4. I'm going to press run, and I'm going to see that this rectangle is at 100, 100. What they want us to do is they want us to get the squares in this upper corner and this lower corner. To help me, I'm going to press show grid, and I see that if I wanted to put a square up here, I would need to make this 0, 0. And I can also put another rectangle, and if I want it to come all the way down here, it would need to be at 350, 350. So what we have to remember is that this grid goes from 0 to 400, both left to right and up down. If I took my grid off, I would see that my rectangles are showing their squares. They're showing in those corners. Task 5 brings us to another video. So please pause this video and play the other video in code.org. All right, task 6, when we press run, we're going to see that these are blue. But if we look over here to the right, we're going to see that we need 3 yellow squares, but we have 2 blue squares. So what we're going to have to do is we have to change that fill color from blue to yellow. So now I've got it from blue to yellow. And I'm going to show my grid because this is going to help make it a little bit easier. I can see that the next yellow rectangle should be here, should be right underneath the first rectangle. So I'm going to bring in another rectangle, and it's going to be at 100. And that looks like it's at 100, 200. So when I press reset run, and I could take off my grid if I want, and it looks just like what we have over here. All right, so now number 7, this is where we're talking about order. When we look at number 7, we see that the red square was placed first and the blue square was placed second. So we have two problems. Problem number 1 is that the red should be green. If we look over here to the right, the red should be green. So I'm going to change red to green. And now I see that the blue should be underneath and the green should be on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move my blue fill and that blue rectangle. I'm going to move those so that they're in the first positions. And then in the second position is going to be my green rectangle. The order matters. So whatever I have first is going to be the first thing laid on the screen. And then on top of that is going to be the next, whatever the next thing might be. All right. In task 8, what I do see is that I have a teal ellipse or a teal circle. They want me to put another ellipse here, and it's yellow or orange, whatever. We're going to choose another ellipse, and this is giving me where it's going to be on the coordinate grid. And if we look at the sample, it looks like it should be somewhere around here, somewhere around 200, 200. And there we go. And if I want to make it orange, I could just type in the word orange. But you're going to need to make sure that you use the correct spelling. If you're typing in your own colors, you have to make sure that you're using the correct spelling. You could use this drop down for these basic colors. You could also use the RGB. You will you'll understand a little bit more how to use that later, but this is how much red, how much green, and how much blue of each color that you want to include. And if you feel comfortable that you want to play with that, go for it. All right. So number 9 brings us to a practice, and you need to do at least one of these practices. So you can choose to debug a car, debug a flower, or debug a stoplight. I'm going to look at debug a car right now. If I look at it, it looks like I have the car, but my gray wheels, they should be on top. So I'm going to move this down to the bottom because remember, order matters. So I need to move my gray ellipses down to the bottom, and there I go. And this is called dim gray. It's just a lighter gray. And you can go through and do those others right now. Right now you're required to do at least one, but if you are finished and you want to continue, you can certainly do more. Number 10, this is the assessed portion. This is what I'm going to be grading. On number 10, you're going to need to put the purple. You'll see purple is already down there. And you're going to need to move that purple rectangle. Right now, you're going to see that it's in the wrong spot. But if I move it to 150, 150, it will be in the right spot. So I needed to move the position, and I also needed to change the coordinates. All right. And you're going to finish up in task 11 by doing one of these challenges. So you can work freely now to do one or more of these challenges. I hope you enjoy.